Okay, here we go now. Ready and... Welcome to Linux for the Rest of Us, episode number 28. Linux for the Rest of Us is that show where if you have any interest in Linux at all, if you've heard of Linux and said that sounds really geeky or confusing or whatever, this is a show where we kind of break it down, give you some real life, simple explanations of things. We go through just different Linux pieces and Linux goodness and Linux news that even experts, even intermediate guys, and even beginners in Linux will all know and appreciate. And it's just a good show to listen to if you have any interest in Linux at all. Now that I thoroughly botched the introduction, because I always wing it. I'm not a very...
It definitely worked.
Thanks. I'm not a fan of scripts. You guys don't want to hear me read scripts. I don't know why. I don't know how anybody here wants to hear anyone read scripts. I know you don't like the phrase "keep it real," Dor, but I like to do that. Keep it real.
Yeah, but you have to put up your fist when you say it.
I did.
Oh, good.
All right. Joining us, as usual, is our Linux maven, the door-to-door geek, the man who brings the goods. And today should be no different. What's going on with you, Dor?
I have a very shallow happiness glazing over me right now.
What are you talking about?
Well, two things. One, with the help of Gem State Computers, I was able to quote-unquote, air quote, ROM my phone. I technically cannot ROM my phone, but I can partially ROM it.
What do you mean technically you can't? Because William from Gem State Computers did. I thought he said on last Android App Annex.
No, you technically can't ROM it. You can't put like cyanogen or fresh on it. The ROMs that are made for the Droid X, it's like a partial overwrite of some of the directories. They cannot overwrite everything.
Oh, that's lame. Why? I can't believe the Droid X is so hard to root or ROM. So hard to ROM. Why?
It has something to do with, I believe, the bootloader and only accepting digitally signed ROMs from Motorola.
That's
now,
lame.
I'll say this. Even though it's only partially ROMmed, I can tell you, brand new, with no apps on the phone, it did not run as fast as it runs now with 200 apps on the phone.
Really?
Yeah, so I'm happy with that. That's number one.
What ROM did you put on it?
Fission, I believe it's called.
Fusion?
And like how other ones have their own, use like a community-based ROM manager system.
Mm-hmm.
Fission has their own.
Gotcha.
So from right there, I can apply upgrades, pick what ROM to do. There's themes I can apply, because if you apply a wrong theme, then, bad stuff can happen.
Right.
But there is a buttload of add-ons right in the system. I can click and say install add-on. But I haven't had time to play with that yet.
That's okay. Now
And that's the one reason I'm happy.
You said one thing. Okay, there's another thing, right?
My team has set an NFL record.
For what?
For being the team with the worst record to ever make it into the playoffs. But they're in the playoffs. Like Monty Python said, always look on the bright side of life.
That's awesome. So that's your shallow happiness?
Yes, because they have a chance. They got a chance.
There's a glimmer of hope. We're not going to get all... Go ahead.
Yeah, I told my buddy down in Hawaii I know, who's a Patriots fan, I told him, look, you better worry. That's all I'm saying. You better worry. Because if your boys happen to make it to the Super Bowl, you're in deep trouble if Seattle makes it.
Oh, man, it's a wrong thing to say to a Patriots fan.
Yeah, I know.
They don't have much need to worry. Who the hell knows? We're not going to get into sports here, guys, but who the hell knows that anything can happen in the playoffs? I mean,
true. And that's why we watch, because you never know.
You never know. Good luck to your guys. I hope the Eagles...
No, they're going to need more than luck. They're going to need a shotgun.
I hope the Eagles pound them into the ground, but...
Dude, that's the team I'm really excited to watch. I ain't going to lie.
Yeah. They are exciting unless they play crappy.
Right.
Okay. What do you want to go over today?
First thing, once again, I was going to do a split-second CR48 update with my Google Notebook, Netbook. I got to say, it's quietly become like attached to my hip. I can't help now. Whenever I go on a side job, or I go to work, or I go down my dad's even with the boys for a while, I know I can take this down because my dad doesn't have internet. My dad, I don't think, can spell the word computer. You know what I'm saying? But I can take this down there from inside his concrete house from the 1920s. I can still connect via 3G and do what I need to do on it.
Sweet. I think that's what Google wants you to do. Take that thing wherever you go.
Absolutely. And on the forums, CR-48 forums, just two quick things. One, Nebin from QETUO.com, I believe.
He got a CR-48, didn't he?
He got a CR-48.
Nice.
And he joined the forums. And I got to say, he's put a couple links in there for things I did not know about.
Cool.
So I'm extremely happy he decided to join us. There's one, I mistook it as an app. It's really just an extension on the app, and it's called, any second here, it's called App Jump. Very simple, non-super app. All it does is put a little icon up in the top right-hand window of your Chrome window. You tap it, and it just has a little pop-up with all of the apps listed with an easy, searchable text box right there that already has focus, so you can click and start typing. And it has a very simplistic filtering system on it. I gotta say, it's not super spectacular. It does make things just a little bit simpler, a little bit easier, a little bit quicker to do what you need to do.
I can't find it. It's App Jump. Where do you find it?
If you just go to google.com/Chrome.
Got it. Got it. Okay, I see it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it isn't spectacular. Nothing about it is spectacular. But it's the kind of thing where I found it and I was like, ooh, now I don't have to click this and click that to get to my apps. You know, it literally takes it in half.
Nice.
Yeah. And of course, you can easily, from that window, if you hit the little plus sign, you see, you can easily create filters, launch, disable, uninstall, or add to groups, so you can make your own custom groups of apps.
This comes down as just a drop-down window?
Yeah, it's and it's technically not an app, it's technically a extension.
Right, looks like one.
So anyone can enjoy this. And that's one of the things I'm finding out. The CR-48, the initial glazing over of the hardware kind of goes over quietly because it's non-flashy. It doesn't, blow me away. It isn't super powerful, but it does what it does good. But it really highlights the functionality within Chrome and the simplicity, I think, of the Chrome web interface.
I think that's what they were going for. They weren't trying to put out a dynamite piece of hardware. They couldn't. They're giving them away, for goodness sake. I mean, yeah, it's not about the hardware, I don't think, with that CR-48. It's about the OS.
It really is. And I know any day now I'm going to flick that switch and turn on dev mode because I want to do a couple things. Like one of the things Nevin told me about, I haven't had time to check about. It's in the Chrome address bar, I believe it was about:flags. And there's a setting there that allowed, I believe, for remote access. So I believe that means I can have this on and remote into it from another computer. I'm not sure.
Right.
I'm not sure. I got to play with it.
I see that. I can tell that little itch is there, Door. I think the CR-48 is not long for a little hacking.
Well, it's going to go into dev mode. I'm going to do my best to not be jumpy with installing things, but to be very focused about what can this help me accomplish.
Yeah.
And I'm going to baby step it.
Nice. We'll see how that goes.
I know. Good luck. Yeah, but I got to say, if you even just want to keep up to date on the hardware, the hacks, the tips, the tricks, the little finer points about the device, if you go to cr-48forums.com, I think we have a good start to a website. It's growing naturally, I think, at a good rate in the beginning.
19 members so far.
Yeah.
Nice.
And we don't want to turn around one day and have 10,000 members, because 9,990 of them will be bots.
I wouldn't mind 10,000 real members. That'd be cool.
Well, yeah, but we don't have that much money, Steve. We have to pay people.
We'll see. Hey,
Yeah.
I'm going to unsubscribe from my own forums here if I don't get a CR48.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. I won't do that.
Okay.
I'm just expressing bitterness.
there's still hope.
I know.
Keep your hope, like I say.
I will.
And I swear, no matter what, this week, in preparation for next week, I'm going to get Chrome OS installed on a thumb drive and functioning. I tried it twice in the last 2 weeks, and both times, every computer I put it in, it would boot. You could see it accessing it, and then black screen, nothing happened. So I got to dabble, see what's going on there.
I'll tell you what, I got a Dell laptop that I'm ready for Chrome OS. I'm put Chrome OS on it. It's primed. I'm ready to wipe Vista off of it, and I want to put Chrome OS on. That's what I'd rather do. If I can't do that, I'm going to put a Linux distro on it. But it was my bedside laptop just got replaced by my iPad, and so now it needs a function and a place in life,
right.
And I want to put some type of OS on it that's going to be suitable.
Well, I can tell you one thing it can do better than the pad. It can be a good quality alarm clock you can trust.
I'm gonna make a whole thing on alarm clock.
Yeah. Well, the iPad, you never know when it's not going to ring for you.
Yeah, I know. I'm still not using the iPad as a clock. I'm just using it for like podcasting player,
Right.
like magazine reader. But it's grooving in there. That might be where the iPad finds its position. So I got a nice Dell laptop. It's a Inspiron 1545, just waiting for some OS action. So
that'd be a good device for it, I think.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. The first topic I wanted to talk about, Steve, I'm not going to lie.
Uh-oh.
I'm stealing it.
I always do that.
Well, good. Then we're in the same ship. I'm stealing it from, to be honest, someone I consider to be utterly, utterly smart and a really nice guy. His name is Reg Exorcist.
Mm-hmm.
He's on my other podcast when he can. And he's kind of like Russ. Whenever he opens his mouth, he's going to say something that might not click right away, but it will. Give it time. You know what I mean?
Right.
He just did a podcast on his BSD-based podcast. Think of BSD as the twin of Linux, in layman's terms, understand. Looking at them, most people will not be able to tell the difference. But if you're the mother or good friend of the twins, you can look at them and easily tell them apart.
Really?
They have a lot of the same features. They have a lot of the same actions and reactions, but they are different. Like the big, for instance, is there's no Flash native on BSD. It just doesn't run. Linux, we have Flash. So, there's basic differences in the kernel that do make it different. But if you know a lot of Linux commands, virtually all of them will work in BSD and vice versa.
Okay.
A lot of the applications are cross-compiled that work in both.
Okay.
So you really could use one in place of the other a lot of the time, especially when you don't need Flash. And technically speaking, BSD in general is a safer operating system to run. So if this is a critical or public-facing or easily attackable system, you want to give BSD a very fair shake.
Okay, I'll do that.
Now to the part I'm stealing. His last podcast, he talked about how to install a DNS server on your computer. This might sound like rocket science to a lot of people, but I trust you, there are a great many step-by-step tutorials that do an excellent job on how to get this done in Linux or Ubuntu. But let me step back for a second. When you go to google.com, when you go to Justin TV, when your Xbox connects to Xbox Live, it never goes to google.com, facebook.com, or xbox.live.com or whatever. They never actually go there. Think of it as that's just the title The actual address is the IP address.
Okay.
So anytime anything on your network needs to go someplace, it always does it by name primarily. And then your inner workings, the back end of your network has a DNS system on your computer, on your router that says, this is where I go to get my address. You can go to your ISP. You can go to google.com. Google has 8.8.8.4. You can go to Norton has one. You can go to OpenDNS. You can go to all these different services. And all that service does is get your request, takes your request, searches for it. If it's not there, goes up higher. If it's not there, it goes up higher. Gets the answer back, shoots it back to you, and then your computer, after all that, says, oh, I need to go to 68.27.24.68.
It's just so we don't have to remember numbers, basically. Is that why it was designed?
That, and I think it allowed just for human readable answers.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, humans are much better remembering long words or multiple words than numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the dirty secret. If on your network you require one of a couple things, more uptime, more speed, or more control, you really should look at having a local DNS server. Now, it isn't like that DNS server is standing on its own. You can still put in there, okay, you go to OpenDNS for your IP addresses. You go to Google. I mean, you can still have it configured to go to your DNS of choice. The difference is you configure everything on your network to point to that server or that computer. You can even install it on your laptop and have your own laptop networking be pointed to that server for its DNS. What it basically means is every site you go to repetitively, you will get a definite improvement in speed and less latency. Now, sometimes it's not measurable, but I know more than a couple times I go to a website, I hit enter, and I see that meter just sitting there for a second. I look at those network lights and nothing's happening. And then seconds later, the lights go off and then it blings. That means I had to wait that long for my DNS request to come back or the initial handshake to the website to be done. If you do this and you do it for any length of time, I guarantee you, you will not want to go without this on your network again. If you don't put it on there, you won't know the difference. You'll think everything's fine.
Really?
Yeah, because that's what you've been using the whole time. It can't be that bad, you know?
It's just that much faster, huh?
I'll say it isn't much faster. Over a long period of time, your average time to accomplish the simple task of getting your DNS query back, whether you're launching an app on your phone and it's wireless, whether you're launching up a pigeon client, an instant messaging client, a game to connect to a server or your browser, the latency will be less. It will be quicker. Might be, 500th of a second versus 100th of a second.
But you get used to that.
When you go to somebody else's house after you've had this for over a month, you're going to be like, what's wrong with your internet?
That's so awesome. Do you use it, Dor?
I have used it for now about 1.5 years. And here's one of the things I love. Once in a while, every DNS server system will go down. The big, for instance, is if you don't use your ISP's internet service, you won't notice. Your neighbors who all use that service will experience more downtime than you, and that's because their DNS servers are down or they're just not responding quick enough. And all those people think my internet's down. And it's not actually. If you use alternate DNSs, it works better. And if you use the local ones, it's even better than that because it's all cached. Everything you went to is cached on your computer, so it doesn't have to go looking.
I see. That's pretty interesting. Never thought about doing anything like that.
Well, and for parents or someone in an environment where they do not have control, let's say, this is a very simple beginning steps of blocking sites that you don't want people to go to, like Facebook or Twitter. And I'll say those kind of pages.
Okay.
But yeah.
Thank you, Dor.
No problem. This is a great hobby thing to do so you can understand a little bit more about how networking works. I highly encourage anyone who has any interest. The easiest and simplest thing to do, as always, start up a VM. download a free Linux distro, change the network settings on the VM to be bridged networking, install Linux, go through this tutorial step by step, and see your results.
What do you use? Still use VirtualBox, even though it's oracleized?
I still use VirtualBox, but I'm so close to ditching it. I'm still up in the air. I want to find that one that has just as good USB pass through. I still haven't found that one yet. I do not want to use VMware. I feel like for home users, it's like getting the A team to come in and help when you can't get in your door.
It's not that complicated. I mean, I bought it for the Mac, but
right.
I haven't used it on PC.
Yeah, it's just overkill to me. It's really powerful when you want to spawn multiple VMs at the same time, and the memory management it does and the CPU management it does is second to none. I don't need that. Yeah,
just doing some testing.
Yeah, and to be honest, I love doing VMs for anything that I haven't done before and I'm not completely comfortable with. I don't like doing stuff in my native operating system because I was the guy who could walk up to a fresh computer just a couple of years ago, and in 20 minutes I could deem the computer unbootable. And it's just because I would pound the crap out of the keyboard and make this thing do what I want to do or else. And sometimes it came to or else.
Yeah, you don't want to mess up your nice operating system, especially once you have it nice and running smooth. It's the way you want. It's customized. You can't endanger such a thing.
Yeah, and I mean, it isn't that I don't mind reinstalling. I like reinstalling on my terms.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And that site I sent this link to is ubuntugeek.com.
Yes.
I found a second link on this site that had at least some new information. It's some free ebooks. And I know I pointed to one of these ebooks in the past, but there was one I liked, Incredible Guide to Ubuntu Karmic Koala. Technically, that's an old distro, but most of the stuff I'm reading in these ebooks, they go across versions of Ubuntu, like 90% plus of what you read.
What is the letter up to in Ubuntu? It's not too much farther past Karmic Koala, is it?
They're up to Meerkat.
Okay. Yeah,
I believe.
So a lot of this should definitely still apply.
Yeah, they're up to Meerkat. Yeah, so this is 9.10. Okay. Most of it does. There's only little finer points. Most of the changes that don't transfer over are menu choices, where it used to be in menu administration, now it's in menu system administration. They're just moved slightly.
Gotcha.
Yeah, one Google search later, you know where to find it.
Right. Right.
The one that I'm going to just look at, I have no interest at all in doing, is the free PDF guide on how to create your own Linux from scratch.
Sure.
I believe this is talking about the actual distro called Linux from scratch. What it is it's like the distro itself, when you first get it, download it, and install it, it's just a kernel. There's nothing else on it whatsoever. This is like halfway between Arch Linux and Gen 2, I believe. Could be wrong about that, but I think it would just be nice to glance through and just see what kind of topics they cover.
Sure. I mean, it sounds pretty neat. Can't be, yeah. And according to you, Arch is so bare bones it's difficult to configure if you don't know what you're doing, right? Arch Linux?
I'm not going to say it's difficult to configure.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll say if you don't have the wiki on another computer to follow, you have to be a master.
Okay.
But if you have the wiki in front of you, a lot more people could get it done than, is even imaginable. The wiki is that step by step on their process.
All right, so Linux from scratch. That's It's curious. Let's see how that goes.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. The next topic I wanted to talk about was actually brought up by Paul, the guy who does the notes for the show.
Mm-hmm.
I said in like 2 or 3 podcasts ago that I really like him because of his question formatting. And let me see if I can find it really quick. The email he sent me.
Sure.
This has to be it right here. And I'm hitting all the wrong buttons. I perform well under pressure, Steve.
No, it's okay. I always do that. Just keep talking and then pretend like you're not messing up the buttons.
Okay. Here's the email. Hey, Steve, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask a couple questions. Is there a way to see and maybe edit my cron tabs visually GUI like I can on my web host? 2, do you know of a sync program that I can use to do backups, that I can use to back up my website with? When I was in Windows, I used SyncBack SE and it was great. Now I need one for Linux. No backstory, no incredible complications, no weird demands to be met. Just a simple question. Nothing complex. What I sent him back, the first part was to do edit cron tab visually. Cron tabs is a file. Cron is a system in Linux that was been around, I'm 99% sure, from maybe the 60s. Back in the Unix Berkeley days, cron existed. On a lot of enterprise server systems where scheduling is possible, they basically steal the whole philosophy and functionality of cron and put it into their system because it works so well. All cron does, it's a service running in the background all the time that uses next to 0 resources, and it checks a set of files and folders to see if something needs to run at any given time. And by any given time, I mean you can have a cron task that goes off every half a second. And the format of the file is seriously only like 6 sets of numbers and then the command you can run. That's how simple you can get it. And each of the numbers stands for something else. There's minute, hour, day, day of week, month, year, something like that.
Right.
And that's all those numbers mean.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to know the exact format of them, especially when you have a GUI tool, which is why I was able to find him this one. It's called GNOME-schedule. I put a bunch of screenshots in the show, partially because I can't do this system enough credit on how simple it is. There's nothing complex about this system at all if you understand the basic idea of scheduling. Scheduling means you have a command or a script or an executable with a parameter after it that you want to run. And you want to run it at least semi-automatically, means you don't have to invoke it to run it. It just does it on its own.
Okay.
This tool I actually found like 2 years ago, I'll say, and I found it to be the simplest beginner's introduction to cron for me. Very easily lead you through the process when you want to create a new task. Is this a recursive task, or is it going to only happen once? You pick through button choices. You can easily in the interface say, run this task the first Monday of every month at 3:40 a.m. You don't have to know all these syntax and all these calculations and all these variables and all this stuff. No, it's a GUI where you just click. And you just click your way through the process. And it's pretty easy to automate. Anything you can script or pass through a single command to an executable, you can run as a cron task. And on websites like you and me, Steve, my cPanel, I believe, cPanel has a cron interface where it basically lets you say, okay, update my Drupal database so often, do my Drupal backup every so often, and things like that.
Really?
And as a website guy, they have it set up to where we don't even almost have to think about it. Like if you install Drupal or WordPress, when you go through those interfaces and say, okay, do a weekly backup, it, using its credentials, Drupal or WordPress, puts that cron task into place. And then you don't even have to worry about it. It does it. But on our desktops, when you don't know command line, you don't know the syntax, you need a GUI to get started.
Yeah.
The other thing I love about this application, and this is a very normal standard for Linux applications, once you do it, it's very easy to look at the background code that's actually being run for that command. So then you can reverse learn the cron syntax.
This is looks very simple.
That's honestly, that's like almost one of the philosophies of Linux. Do one thing, do it well. Not like these suites of applications that are running rampant for the last decade, on where you look at it and it has like 53 check boxes to do all this kind of stuff.
Right.
A lot of Linux applications still adhere to the philosophy of, I'm going to do this task. That's it. You know, and that's all this really does, is it helps you create and schedule the automated running of scripts, commands, or programs with syntaxes.
Nice.
And by programs with syntaxes, the easiest one to identify with is like on Windows, start run I explore space quote google.com quote. That's a command with a syntax. So it's going to launch Internet Explorer with google.com.
I see.
The second part of his question, do you know of a sync program that I can use to do backups on my website with? Okay, this is almost a trick and loaded question, I'm going to say, because not all websites are designed equally. For instance, with a Drupal website, to do the backup, you really have to be doing it on the server, because there's back-end databases, back-end code, and all kinds of things going on. So you yourself really aren't going to have software.
Right.
You're going to have to rely on that server system to offer you software, or get a Drupal plugin, a WordPress plugin, or something like that. Now, for instance, like a more static site, you can do all the backup from your computer, because what you see on that web page, that's everything that's on that website.
Right.
There's no background engine. There's no stuff churning in the background, no databases, no nothing. So for that, I would use a combination of wget, which is just a very simple command where you can actually have it spider. Anyone who knows anything about Google or site indexes on websites should know what spidering is. Spidering is exactly what it sounds like. You point it at the home page, and then it goes on that home page. It sucks out all the links, and then it goes to each one of those links. And then at each one of those links, it sucks out all the links.
It's a bot, right?
Yes, and then it goes out to all those links. And it just keeps doing that for the entire website. You can say whether or not to go outside the domain or only go 2 links deep, that kind of thing. But wget, basically, it's going to be one command with wget, because it's just one application that does one thing. It does it well. Wget space http mydomain.com.
Really?
And then with the dash, I believe it's spider. I think it's the whole word, spider. And then it will download your entire website.
Really?
Yeah. Now, the secret sauce is to get this working on a local system. I'm going to mention this one because this, to me, is another invaluable tool. It's called grsync. Okay. GNOME Schedule was a GUI interface to the cron system. One caveat I forgot to mention. Anytime you access anything in Linux via a GUI, you almost always lose a touch of power and functionality, because the GUI either has a hard time expressing all the options, or they just decide this one option is not used enough, we're not going to show it. So the GUIs are always good, but the command line is always great. This tool, grsync, is a very similar-esque thing. It's a very simple interface that you can get on Windows as well. Let me state that because I have it at work because I need it, let's just say. It is a simple interface to think of it like Sync Toy, but to be honest, a little bit more dynamic. For instance, you can run before execution scripts and post execution scripts. You can keep permissions, you can blank permissions. There's a lot of different things you can do, but basically you point it at 2 folders and it does a sync.
It's called GR Sync?
Yeah.
Okay. You have it on the site makeuseof.com. Is that where you download it?
No, that was a good site to tell you the basics of how to use it.
I see.
Because it is one of those things, it has some options in there not everybody would understand. Like copy hard links as hard links. Steve, do you know what a hard link is?
A hard link?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where you put the full URL in? Instead of I have no idea, dude.
But good, because I didn't understand it either. I had to read it. Hard links are like sim links. They're like shortcuts on the Windows desktop and the Mac desktop. You can have shortcuts pointing to someplace else. Hard links are kind of like that, and I'll just leave it at that. So in your syncing program, you can say, copy the hard link to that. So all you're going to copy is a little blip of data, or you can say, like, follow the hard link and copy what it's pointing to. So there's a lot of different things you can do that, because if you point Sync Toy at a shortcut, you're going to back up the shortcut. We all in computer repair have went to that house where they say, why, yes, I do backups. And then you go to look at their backup, and it's all of 2 meg, and it's because they backed up 20,000 shortcuts to folders and files that now don't exist.
Right.
So this gives you the options of doing that kind of thing. And the execution of commands before and after, a lot of people won't need. But this could be the secret sauce to making a lot of people happy. You could do a execute command of doing a SSH connection to your website, for instance. If your website offers SSH connections, this is by far the best and most secure way you can back up your website to your house, or off their site to your site, is via SSH. So execute this command before sync just means you put in the SSH connection string. Then in your in your GR sync, you're going to that folder and down to this folder, and then execute this command after rsync would be the disconnect for SSH.
Okay.
Good tool. I cannot do it justice. Let me just say that. I really can't, because it is one of the best tools. If anyone wants to know more about it, I think Russ actually did an episode of the Techie Geek podcast on it. Not because, of course, he rarely devotes one topic for a whole show.
Yeah.
But I want to say, like 8 episodes ago, he spent a good 10 minutes talking about how he used it.
The Techie Geek, techiegeek.com.
Techiegeek.com. If you don't know about it, act like you know. Okay. Now we have this uncommonly simplistic but dynamic, powerful tool, GNOME Schedule. And I'll say you might have to play with it for a little bit to actually grasp how it works, but it's not complex. You have that immensely powerful, simplistic, single task tool, basically.
Okay.
Then you have GR Sync. Once again, utterly, ridiculously powerful, but a pretty simplistic interface, single purpose tool. I found this great write-up at
linuxloop.com.
Thank you very much. linuxloop.com on taking those 2 chocolate and peanut butter and putting them together into a great
making me hungry.
piece of art. I know. I'm always hungry. Can't help it. Everything's food related.
That's true.
I went on New Year's Eve, my wedding anniversary. Went to Fogo de Fogo de Chao. And if no one knows about this kind of restaurant, if you're the kind of person that you almost feel this subprimal instinct that you want to rip apart your food like an animal, i.e., you're a meat lover, like love meat, Fogo de Chao, it's just too good. And the only thing I can say is go there. Don't eat anything all day before you go there, because it is a buffet where as much food as you can down, they'll give you, but it's expensive, so you got to make it worth your while.
Yeah, make it worth it. Hey, So your anniversary is on New Year's Day?
Well, okay, here's the gimmick. Ready? My wedding anniversary, I don't want to forget it. I know I'll forget it. So it's like this. This is my ADD OCD coming through. 0101. That's the month and the day. 0101 is kind of hard to forget. Would you not agree?
That's right. Yeah, it's not hard to forget.
0101 is 4 numbers. We got married on 01/01/2004. So that works out.
What do you mean? Like, just you could remember 2004 because 0101 is so easy to remember?
Well, because 0101 is easy to remember. That's 4 numbers.
4 numbers. I love
so it's 2004.
I love it, man. I love it.
Are you ready? There's more.
Uh-oh.
My wife, I can't forget her birthday either because it's another mathematical thing. 07/29/77. It's ruled by 9. 9's the magic number. If you ask John Lennon, number 9's the magic number.
Okay.
07/29/77. 9 and 2, 9 minus 2 equals 7. That's the month. 77 is the year. 777.
Damn, you got it down. You better not forget.
I know. Well, I can't because it's so easy. And then there's more. My son's birthday, my first son's birthday, oldest son, Memorial Day weekend, 4 days after my birthday. So I can't forget that one either. 5/28. You know,
Right.
it's right there. My youngest son's birthday on Valentine's Day.
I like how you planned. You must have planned these all out in advance.
You have no idea how many spreadsheets and algorithms went into play.
The algorithm.
Yeah, I know.
That's so great, man. That's interesting. Okay. Well, happy New Year and happy anniversary.
Thank you very much. Don't ask me how many years it's been because I can do that kind of math, but I can't count.
Yeah, I suck like that too.
I know. I'll just say I got uncommonly lucky. We went to anniversary dinner with her sister, whose birthday is December 31st, and her mother, my mother-in-law.
Mm-hmm.
I must have saved 1,000 babies in a previous life or something, because I truly have the best mother-in-law I have ever heard of or seen in my life. She is absolute gold. So we took her out to dinner too. Nice. Yeah.
But between that and actually getting to CR48, you must have saved 2,000 babies.
I must have. Yeah. Okay, back on topic.
Okay.
That was a total tangent.
That's right. I started it.
Okay, the 2 tools, GNOME Schedule and GRSync. Both of them might take a little bit of time for you to get used to and to get accustomed to, but this link on Linux Loop to me is a tremendously good short. That's the key. It doesn't go into a whole bunch of what ifs and all this kind of thing. It's a very simple step-by-step on here's the problem, here's how you can use these 2 tools in conjunction to accomplish a scheduled task of complex backups.
Nice. I like the simplicity of it.
Same here when I found this one. Let's just say I bookmarked it for myself.
Nice.
Because GRSync is one of those things I kind of get because there's a couple enterprise things I use at work that stole cron. So, I mean, I get the cron basics down. GRSync, because of Russ's preachings, I've kind of used and kind of got familiar with a little bit, but this is the kind of thing that just makes me use them both more often because I can use them in hand to hand.
Right. Cool.
Yeah, so this is cool.
That's very cool.
And Paul, I told him before, never worry about asking too many questions. If you stop asking questions, I'm going to think you got hit by a car, number one. But number two, I really enjoy being kept on my toes, and it gives me something to talk about here, Steve. Guidance is good.
If you want to send us emails, we'll talk about at the end of the show how to do that. But keep them coming.
Yeah,
we're running a little low, actually. I haven't had one in weeks. So
honestly, it's this time of the year, man.
Right.
I firmly believe everybody is sitting around with their new toys or their new Xbox, going to town, and when they figure out, wait a minute, this game sucks, or my tie isn't as good as I think it is, they'll come back.
Right. Good point.
Yeah. The next topic I truly stumbled upon. Everybody seems to love those live backgrounds you can get on your mobile phones.
I hate them.
I hate them too, but they're popular, Steve. They're popular. Kind of like Angry Birds. Oh, wait, no. But if you go look in the market, there's hundreds of these live wallpapers, and they get good ratings, and they get hundreds of thousands of downloads.
Yeah, it's stupid.
I know.
Anyway,
it's kind of like Patriots.
I know. I'm yeah. No, I'm the minority on this, so we should definitely talk about it.
Well, I am too. I find them utterly annoying. But this, to me, honestly, at least looked cool. I still won't do it, but it looks cool. It's customize your Ubuntu desktop background with falling snow or falling leaves or falling objects, which I guess they mean like safes or something, or pianos. But it's a very easy way to make live backgrounds on your desktop, to where you can be on your desktop and you can show your wife, look how pretty my desktop is, and they'll have snowflakes falling on a scene with a house in the back or something. And then you can tell your wife, this is why Linux is cool. And if you're a guy, I guess you can make blood drip or something. You say you can show your roommate. I don't know.
Is it, how hard is it to do these?
Not hard at all, because there is an app called Compass Config Settings Manager. It's not the normal one. You have to install this. This is a little bit of extra. I'm 99% sure.
I see.
Maybe.
I see.
And then there's a website called Iconospedia.
Okay.
Sticking with Iconospedia.
That's it. You're right.
And for there, you can go and you can download all of these animated websites. Animated images for your background.
I see. Okay. There we go.
Yeah, you have to go looking for them, because this site apparently has a lot of art and a lot of free icons apparently. But
sounds dangerous.
If you have a goal of you want the most annoying background on your computer that you've ever seen, this is a great place to go.
You know what? This is actually awesome. I didn't even know this. This is a great site. Sorry.
Yeah, I never find good icon background art or anything like that. I never find good sites like that when I'm looking for them.
Yeah, me too. Exactly. That's why I'm just like, I'm not looking for it right now, but this is pretty awesome.
Right. This is when you need a good bookmarker.
And I would assume you need a non-Windows machine to go to this site, but that's just my guess.
Some places do have icon packs that can be on other operating systems, but most of them don't, I will say.
I'm just talking about this site probably is a bit spammy.
Well, that's when you give them your spam account, or you say, what's your email address? Oh, right. smdcomputers.net.
Right.
And then you move on. I can say that because I know he doesn't listen to this.
This is good. That's good.
Yeah. Real quick, SMD.
He doesn't even listen to the shows he's on.
I know. But I got to say, I love the guy. Great guy. He tweeted today, January 4th, about how come no one told me about this tool? This tool has saved my life. It's the best free tool I've ever found. And it's called Test Disk. Saying to myself, DB, you're a DB. You, SMD, are DB. If you had listened to Linux for the rest of us, you would have known about that tool months ago. We talked about it. This was the tool that I used on the lady's computer who was going to court, and I recovered over 400,000 pictures off her computer.
Yeah. Yeah, we've talked about it on Podnutz Daily too.
I know,
back in the day.
I know, but he's too busy apparently. But I told him, look, it's the exact same application on Linux. If you're worried about ever getting an infection, just run it from a Linux
Nice.
box.
I would too.
Yeah. Now to talk more about SMD Steve, because he's such a good guy. He seems to be a big fan of the GTD philosophy on life, let's say, which
Right.
is just getting things done.
Getting things done.
It's something I believe we all could probably use a little bit of in our life, unless you're like James Randi or Obama. We all need a little bit of help keeping organized, keeping focused, getting things we need to done. And there's plenty of apps on all kinds of systems. A lot of them seem very vague, very light, not very powerful, I'll say. I stumbled across this application. This was actually, I believe, someone sent to me, or is in the forums, I think. It's called Getting Things GNOME instead of Getting Things Done. Getting Things GNOME. This is an utterly gorgeous in the terms of a Getting Things Done application. I found this to be an utterly gorgeous experience of easily color coding tasks into different categories. No prerequisites are done for anything you put in. You don't have to put in due dates or days left, or you don't have to put in a lot of things. You can simply make a one-word task.
Nice.
Or you can make a task and then make a list on that task and easily one click mark that as done, mark that as done. If you do put in a due date, then it can notify you and sort by due date.
Nice.
So
it's like Remember the Milk.
it is like Remember the Milk.
I like
but,
this interface better.
Well, there's advantages and disadvantages to everything, Steve, in life. Like I always tell you, everything's a double-edged sword. The only thing I'm not sure about this application is there a way to share the back end? Because I would like to be able to access this same data not only on my laptop but on my CR48
or Android phone, right?
Or on my Android phone. So I'm going to try to do some poking around. I know one solution that would work to a degree is if you store the back-end files, the database, but it's not probably actually a database. It's probably just a single set of files in a Dropbox. And then if you go to another computer, you install it and you point that computer to that Dropbox. Then you could easily have multiple computers accessing that same exact list. CR48 and Android, that's something different. But I'm going to do some pounding because I need to get a little bit better at what I do. Remember the Milk, I cannot hop aboard for some reason.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sound like Richard Stallman, who said, cloud computing is not cloud computing. Cloud computing is careless computing. He said it's going to be very successful because there's a sucker born every minute. Anyone trusting your computing to someone else basically is a full, it's ultra damaging to this and it's horrific to that. I love it.
So
because if I'm going to plan on killing somebody or buying a narcotic, I'm not going to save it in my email. I'm at least that smart. So I'm all for cloud computing.
Me too.
Because I know where to use it and when not to use it. I'm not going to save my bank account password,
right?
Anywhere.
Some people might, but that's not. You can't blame cloud computing for that.
Okay, you can't. Those are the people who you lift up their keyboard and they have a key to their safe.
Right.
You can't. Nothing you can do is going to make those people safe.
Or all their passwords. All their passwords are sticky noted to their monitor.
Right. Or they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They all went to Gawker and made passwords. I mean, there's no saving people who from their own if they don't want to be saved.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Bar none. If they don't want to lock their door, they don't want to lock their door. Richard Stallman ain't going to be able to convince them.
Right.
Okay, I digress because I don't want to talk bad about him because I'll get hate mail. Um, okay, I wanted to get into just a little bit more of this because I know we're running long because I have a tendency to yabber on.
It's okay.
I did more reading and I did a little bit more case studying around. It's very safe to say there is, and I always try to start off with the negative stuff, Steve, to get out of the way. There is a downside from switching an institution to just walking in one day and switching an institution from proprietary software base and setup to an open source setup. There's a heavy price to pay. One, shell shock. I'll say anyone planning on trying to convert any place over to a free or open source system, baby step it. Baby step it. First, get rid of Microsoft Outlook. Try Thunderbird. Try one of the other free clients. Get rid of Internet Explorer. Install Chrome. Install Firefox. Get rid of Office. Try to install LibreOffice or OpenOffice. Get rid of Adobe Reader. Try Foxit Reader. Take things in baby steps.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just lunge in, because if it could be a frozen pond, then you could be in a lot of trouble. Hi, hon. You all right? Okay, I'll be up in a minute. Okay. Back on topic. Okay. You got to take baby steps. Microsoft has written papers where they have said it costs you 150% more to use open source than it does their software. They claim training cost and upkeep cost because things always break. Okay. That's kind of like going up to a car dealer, and when he tells you the car runs great, you just believe him. If someone is going to profit off of you spending money with them, why on God's green earth would they say anything bad about themselves? I'm just saying.
Right.
I don't think it's rocket science.
Right, exactly.
Okay. There have been institutions out there in the wild over the last decade, including entire country governments, but we're going to stick small. Arizona school district by the name of Dysart,
Mm-hmm.
Dysart, was able to save more than $100,000 in, I think it was 3-month time period. Slowly, this was something they actually started a year ago, switching from Microsoft operating systems to Linux operating systems. One quick thing I'll say, if there's any place that switching an operating system from something to something else, I'm not saying Microsoft to this, something to something else. If there's any place it's going to work, is at a place with younger people. Younger people are more mentally capable of handling that transition in my eyes.
Especially with if it's a technology transition.
Yeah, I mean, partially they grew up with it.
Right.
They're natural at this.
Right.
Secondly, they haven't had 20 years of using this to get accustomed to it and to hate something else.
Right. Good point.
Thirdly, they don't have jobs. They can play with it all day long. So I'll say that. So it isn't like every place can just instantly jump off. This is something you really have to calculate out. 1 second, Steve.
Okay.
Sorry for that.
Hang on.
Okay.
Hang on, sorry. Hang on.
Hmm?
And ready and go.
Okay. And I'm not going to say they saved $100,000 just because they didn't have to buy Microsoft desktop products or Microsoft server products.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot more to take into consideration. There's the Office suites technically make Microsoft more money than any operating system they sell, number one, first and foremost.
Right.
But there's also that support contract. You ask anybody in business how much that support contract costs, they're going to be scared to tell you, Steve.
Really? From
Let me just say
Microsoft?
that.
Microsoft?
Yeah, because everyone believes this system is so critical, we have to have like 2-hour support. We have to have an answer for this thing in 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So Microsoft, for normal consumer type support, when you can get it for like buying retail disk,
Mm-hmm.
you don't get great support. You know, it takes forever. You can be on the phone for 5 hours with the person.
Right.
Microsoft knows where and when they can charge money, and they charge money. Granted, you get a level of support that is kind of hard to come by when you're talking about an individual. When you're talking about big business, they pay big bucks and they get pretty much instantaneous support. With that said, they don't even know their own operating system because they're not supposed to. This is a proprietary closed source operating system. The person you talk on the phone will never have anything to do with the code behind what they're talking about. They're a professional support person.
Right.
More than one occasion, I have called them up for my billion-dollar industry where I work. And the answer I got was, well, it's a bug. Yeah, but we need this fixed. Well, it's a bug. Yeah, but I need this fixed.
Right.
Well, you can roll back this, roll back that, and it will work fine. Yeah, but then I'm vulnerable, ain't I? Well, yeah, but it will work. I know, but I need not to be vulnerable. Well, it's a bug. A lot of times they honestly can't give you an answer, and it's because they don't have access to that code. With open source, I can tell you I've had personal experiences where somebody's making no money from me whatsoever. And I tell them about something, and hours later, they push out a patch to fix what I talked to them about. There's more than one occasion I can tell you about where that has happened, and it always and constantly blows me away. Now, for enterprise businesses, you can pay for support. If you get Ubuntu servers, I tell you right now, those folks down there in South Africa would love to have your money. And you can pay for, support with guaranteed, half an hour callback and less than 4 hours till a solution is coming about. You can pay
cheaper
for that.
than Microsoft?
Going to the moon is cheaper than Microsoft. Buying yourself a Rolls Royce is cheaper than a enterprise-wide Microsoft support contract.
Right.
The beautiful thing is a lot of the systems you can implement in an enterprise that are open source, you can get by spending a lot less with just hiring a few internal personnel to just interact with the community that developed this project. Whether it be Red Hat, which is the number one by far enterprise system. You can also buy support from them for their SLED, it's called, SUSE Linux Enterprise Desktop, which is a truly enterprise supported operating system that will integrate with your Active Directory if you have it running just as seamless as Windows. So you can have full control over network-wide passwords, network-wide resources, and it's utterly easy to set up. If you can connect your local computer to a domain in Windows, it's just that easy to do it in SLED. The advantage you get without going to Microsoft products is you can technically not, if you're an enterprise business, you typically have an upgrade path of every 3 to 4 years, you have to upgrade your desktop. It's not because it's broke. It's not because it's starting to fail, but it's because Microsoft has dropped support for their previous operating system. So they won't support you anymore. So you have to get the next operating system. that next operating system won't run on that hardware. So you have to buy new computers. Over 89% of all computers that an enterprise business get rid of are working perfectly fine. It's just now they need to upgrade to 2008 server, or they have to get off XP in less than a couple years, so they upgrade, and the new operating systems will not run it. That's the biggest cost saving. You can take a 6-year-old server, slap it in a corner with 128 megabytes of RAM, and it's going to work. I don't know of a Windows Server operating system that would run with less than 256 since maybe NT 4.0.
Right. Yeah, you're pushing it with that.
So with that said, you can make a lot more devices become a lot more network services with no extra cost.
Right.
You can save money that way. The biggest lie Microsoft ever tried to say is you'll spend so much more in support.
Really? Is that what they're trying to, is that what they push?
Yeah, they try to say your total cost of ownership in the beginning is far less, but after a 5-year period, you will spend 150% more money than you would with Microsoft products.
It's typical of them.
And anybody who believes that, I firmly believe, just doesn't want to listen. They just don't want to listen. They just know what they know, and they know what they know.
Right.
You can't tell me the sky is indeed bluish green and it's no other color. It can't be any other color, but it's red. No, it's not. Look at the window. It's red. It's a sunset, dummy. It has to save you in the long run. Now, you have to have, to be honest, smarter admins, because you don't have this GUI interface where you just click through everything without having any comprehension at all what's going on the back end. So you definitely do need a little bit smarter admin. So you are going to pay a little bit more for that. But, upgrading, patching is a lot easier. All the software is free. And the beautiful thing is, if you're an institution and you're in the Microsoft world, sometimes you have to run IE because that's the only thing that has been approved by the corporation for everything to run on. So if your IE breaks and you can't fix it, you have to reimage the whole computer. How can you blow more time than that? If you're on an open source system using an open source backend system, you don't have to use a specific browser.
Right.
I don't know of any system, including .NET Nuke, which is technically supported by Microsoft. That's a .NET backend on a CMS system. Microsoft hired the head of .NET Nuke. They pay him money to keep doing what he's doing, but it's not officially joined with Microsoft. They just like giving him money because he's supporting .NET. Even that system, you can run from your Symbian. You can go on your Symbian phone and access that website, and you'll never know the difference. So anything open like that means, if you tried LibreOffice and you don't like it, well, go ahead and try OpenOffice because they both save with the same file format, so they're both going to work.
Right.
There's no lock-in. And that's the best thing about enterprises or organizations or agencies switching to open source operating systems and solution is there is no lock-in. At any point in time, you can drop your pants and dance in a circle and do whatever you want to do because there's no lock-in. Germany, I'll see if I can find this. I think it was Germany. They wanted to change over their systems from Microsoft XP to Linux. They deemed it impossible to do. And the reason was they did a couple studies inside of their system, and they figured out to replace every system that relies on Windows as being it, web-based solutions that require Internet Explorer, server solutions that require a Windows client to install something, and all those kind of things, it would cost them over $200 million.
Just to switch?
just a switch be called lock-in. Lock-in to me is the most evil thing about proprietary software. Proprietary software by itself isn't evil. Mac is not evil. Microsoft is not evil. They both have to have in their board meeting long-term goals and plans of keeping the money coming in. So they all focus on lock-in. How can we give them what they want in a way that they like it, but ensure that they stick with that for the long run, no matter what it is.
Right.
I mean, if you use iWeb, for instance, you can make a very entertaining looking and beautiful website. Try to take that website and edit it someplace else.
Forget that.
You know, you can. It's
Right.
a tumor. And Adobe does the same kind of thing with their CS products. They kind of want you to lock in. They want their format to only work great with their format.
Right.
That's why I feel like I am a proponent of open source. I hate lock-in. I hate lock-in. I always want choice. Choice might be a bad thing. You know what I mean? I might not have the best choices available, but at least I have choice.
Mm-hmm.
And I know if I'm dealing with an open source product, for instance, OpenOffice, backed by Sun, who got bought by Oracle. If I've been using OpenOffice for all these years and I'm afraid what's happening to that product, you know, I don't have to worry about it. It's already been forked. So other places already started up their own project to where I can take all the files I have in OpenOffice and open them up in something else.
Is that what LibreOffice did?
Yeah. And I mean, you know, if you're using any Microsoft product, and the easy target is always Office. You know, if you're saving everything in docx format, and then 2012 comes around and they decide, well, we're not going to use docx anymore. We're going to use docz, you know, because Z's better. It has to be better, right? It's higher up. And then it comes to a point where, you know, you can't access these docz formats because you have this version. You can only access docx versions. But then they'll give you a viewer, but you still can't edit it.
Right.
You know?
This is not hypothetical. This is what they did with 2007 Office and 2003.
Right. And it's what they do with everything they've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't blame them. If I was sitting in that plush leather chair, you know, with my rolls over there, you know, beautiful women waiting for me because I got so much money over there, I would be doing the same thing. I'm not going to lie.
No, you are lying. You are lying. You would not do the same thing because you're a door.
So I know, but I was so tempted.
I would be disappointed in you if you did that, door.
Right.
You can't say that you would do that. You wouldn't.
I don't know.
Okay.
Here's what I'm really trying to hammer home. I always much rather deal with a little maybe annoyance if I'm dealing with something that someone put passion into. And to be honest, I'm going to bring this all back around home, Steve. This is why I first got into Podnutz. This is why I enjoy the forums so much. This is why whenever my wife gives me gift card money on Amazon, I go to podnutz.com/Amazon. I always want to support something that someone is passionate about because A, I'll know they'll truly be thankful, and B, I just want to support something I know that's good.
That's awesome, man. That's really awesome. Well, I mean, I'm sure everyone out there can vouch that Podnutz would not be nearly the same if it wasn't for the Door-to-Door Geek. So
you would have a lot less rambling.
We'd have a lot less content. You kidding me?
Yeah. And if you want to hear a ramble, the next Podnutz Daily, I believe, you're going to hear a voicemail from me.
I got it.
Let's just say I was a little irate. And no one has been able to explain this to me in the forums. They've all made more than a couple intelligent guesses, and everybody admits their guesses.
It's a Microsoftian point of anger, right?
Yeah, and I know there's no doubt in my mind, if I had a thing with Microsoft, the only thing they would be able to tell me to do is, well, reinstall. You know? What are you saying? This is a fresh install. This install is less than 60 hours old. What do you mean fresh install?
Hey, well, I hope we do a Podnutz Daily tomorrow. I need a guest. So if anybody out there is interested and they want a Podnutz Daily, you can make it happen. Go to podnutz.com/guests and fill in your name. I might have to get some kind of emergency guest if we don't have one, but I'm sure I could wrangle one up.
Yeah, it's good times, people.
Yeah. All right, Dor. Anything else? We're running out of time.
Have a GNU New Year.
Cheesy.
I know.
But cool. All right, man. Well, where can people find you if they want to contact you and ask you or stuff or probe you or invite you to gatherings or send you money or whatever you want to do?
They can go to doortodoorgeek.com, doortodoorgeek@gmail.com, doortodoorgeek@podnutz.com, podnutz.com/forums, doortodoorgeek, facebook.com, Steve McLaughlin, twitter.com/doortodoorgeek, identica.com/doortodoorgeek, it's identic.cut/doortodoorgeek, dualityofman.com.
That's it?
There's a couple more.
That's okay.
Oh, cr-48forums.com.
Yeah. Definitely sign up for that. Get involved with that. I'm probably going to install Chrome on this laptop if I can, and then I'll be more active in the forums there. But
honestly, here's the thing you got to do when you're switching, because it took me a while to switch too. Stop, look at your Firefox, look at all the extensions you have and the extensions you actually use. Let me say that.
Mm-hmm.
Go browse the Chrome extensions, see if they have something similar or close to it, because if they don't, I don't know if I would suggest you switch.
Okay. Let's see what happens.
Because I'm hooked on those extensions, like Invisible Hand. Ooh, that one tickles me every time I use it.
Really, I don't think I've used that one.
It's a stupid little extension. Firefox, even I think SeaMonkey and Chrome. Anytime you're looking at a product, even if you're just Google searching, WRT54G.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you just Google search that, a little yellow bar will pop up from the top of the window, and over like a minute, it will just keep updating. It will say lowest price for this item with a little click. Drop down, it will list like 8 to 20 places with all the prices and the lowest.
Oh,
now, I'm not going to say it's always 100% accurate, but it's a good rule of thumb if you're getting screwed.
I'm installing that right after the show.
Oh, it's sweet.
All right. Well, tell you guys what, if we need some emails for this show, so send us some emails. Just send them to mail@podnutz.com or any of those places. If you want to send them right to Door, send them at doortodoorgeek.com or doortodoorgeek@gmail.com or any of those other places. We want to read them on the show. If you want to call us, call into the show, leave a voicemail. Definitely do that. 7076 Podnut is the phone number. Yes, a real live phone. Landline, cell phone, whatever you want to do. 7076 Podnut is just a regular old phone number. Give us a call. Leave a voicemail. It's easy. It's fun. We will play it. You could hear your voice on the show. And if anybody else has any questions, let us know. We are here for you. We want to hear from you. And you will enrich the show with your input. All right. Well, that is going to be it for Linux for the rest of us. Dor, thank you very much again for all the stuff tonight.
No problem, man. I have a blast. Everybody, I said this honestly on my first episode, I think ever, of Podnutz. Support the people who you think support you.
Good one. I like that. Words of wisdom from the Door. Okay, that's it for Linux for the rest of us. See you guys next time.